So, you hear an AI data center might be coming to your town? It always sounds exciting, right? A symbol of high-tech investment, a sign that your community is ready for the future. But what does it really mean when one of these digital factories actually moves in next door? Let's dig in and find out. Okay, so this is part 3 of our 10-part explainer. Everything we're talking about today comes from a really deep research report called Conducting an AI Data Center Community Impact Assessment. It's from a Colorado research firm, Virtualization Options LLC. Our focus today is on all the hidden impacts, the things communities really need to get a handle on before they say yes. You know, the best way to think about a data center proposal is to picture an iceberg. The stuff they promise, the jobs, the tax money, that's the tip you see sticking out of the water. But the biggest impacts, the things that can totally change daily life, are all hidden deep beneath the surface. So let's take our first dive right below the waterline and talk about the most immediate and, frankly, staggering impact, an almost unbelievable thirst for electricity.
Now, here's what makes these facilities so different. Think about a car factory. It might run a couple of shifts, but it shuts down at night. While AI data centers don't. They run 24/7, full tilt, for weeks or even months at a time. This creates this huge, constant, inflexible drain on the power grid that's unlike almost any other industry.
And we're not talking about just flipping on a few extra lights here. We are talking tens, sometimes hundreds of megawatts. For perspective, that's enough electricity to power an entire small city, all for just one single building. The scale is just mind-boggling. And get this, the problem only gets bigger. The report makes it super clear that the initial power estimate is often just a starting point. As the AI gets more powerful and they install newer hardware, that already huge power demand just keeps on growing. It puts this compounding pressure on the whole grid.
Which leads us to the multi-million-dollar question, right? When the local grid just can't handle that much power, who actually pays for the massive, super expensive upgrades that are suddenly needed? And here's the crucial part. The research shows that these costs often get socialized. That's a key term. It means that utility companies spend millions, maybe tens of millions on new equipment, and then they get that money back by raising electricity rates for everybody. For you, for me, for local small businesses. The community ends up footing the bill to support this one private company.
Okay, let's go a little deeper now. We're diving into the environmental stuff. The things you won't see on a building plan, but you will definitely feel and hear in your own neighborhood. These are the real invisible costs. You see, pretty much every single watt of electricity that goes into those computers comes back out as heat, a ton of it. The report says a big AI facility can pump out as much waste heat as a small power plant. This creates what's called a thermal plume, a constant river of hot air that literally creates a heat island right around it. And what does that actually mean for people living nearby? Well, according to the report, some communities have measured temperatures that are 3 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit warmer in residential neighborhoods right next to these places. That's enough to notice for sure, and it'll show up on your summer AC bill. And hey, it's not just the heat. You've also got the constant low-level hum from massive cooling fans running day and night. And then you have the backup plan, giant diesel generators. They have to test them regularly, and of course they run them during outages, which pumps pollution straight into the local air. This really breaks down the problem and the solution. It all comes down to accountability. The research is pretty blunt. Communities have to demand continuous, independent air quality monitoring, real-time reports when those generators fire up, and strict limits. Otherwise, any promise to be a good neighbor is pretty much just talk. All right, now we're diving to the very bottom of that iceberg. This is where we find the really complex, sometimes counterintuitive socioeconomic stuff that can have the longest-lasting impact on a town's health, both financially and socially. Okay, this one is a real head-scratcher, but it is so important. A billion-dollar data center comes to town, and boom, the town's total property value skyrockets. Sounds awesome, right? But wait, in a lot of states, the formula for school funding looks at that new local wealth and decides, hey, they don't need as much state aid anymore, and cuts it. The report calls it a perverse outcome, where you could end up with less total money for schools. Now for the big one. This is always the number one selling point. Hundreds of new, high-paying tech jobs for local folks. But how true is that really?
The research really urges people to look closer at the numbers. Yeah, there are hundreds of construction jobs, but they're temporary, and they often go to specialized crews brought in from out of state. Once the place is built, it runs with a tiny crew. And those fancy engineering jobs, they're often filled by recruiting nationally, not by hiring people who already live there. the net gain in permanent, local jobs can be shockingly small.
So you have to ask, who's actually dealing with all the downsides? The heat, the noise, the pollution. The report highlights that these facilities often end up in lower-income communities, places where residents might not have the political clout to fight back and are often more vulnerable to the health effects. Real community engagement has to be way more than just one public hearing.
And here's a cost that almost never gets mentioned in the glossy proposal. What happens in 20 or 30 years when the tech is old and the data center closes? You're left with a giant concrete box that's hard to reuse for anything else. The report warns that without a solid decommissioning plan, local taxpayers could be the ones stuck with the bill for a massive cleanup job.
So after going through all these hidden costs, the report doesn't just leave you there. It brings us back up to the surface with a really clear game plan. It's about empowering communities to go from being passive spectators to active players in their own future. And it all boils down to asking the right questions.
First, you gotta nail down the infrastructure details. Don't just accept the first number they give you. Ask for the 10-year projection, with expansions. Get it in writing, who pays for every penny of the upgrades, and demand real protections that guarantee your utility bills won't go up to pay for their business.
Next, the environment. Don't settle for averages. Ask for the worst-case scenario. What happens on the hottest day of the summer when they're running at 100%? And demand a plan for ongoing third-party monitoring with actual penalties if they break the rules.
And finally, you have to get to the real bottom line. After you subtract all the tax breaks and the new costs, what is the net financial benefit to the town? Don't accept vague promises about jobs. Ask for legally binding commitments for local hiring and decent wages.
Look, the promise of progress is always tempting. But as this research makes crystal clear, real progress means you have to look beneath the surface. It means asking the tough questions and demanding straight answers. Because the ultimate question isn't whether it's good for a tech company, but whether it's truly good for the people who will have to live with it for decades to come.